it's Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to make a card using this paw print folded from the Stamps of Life. And this die set makes a card base, an A2 size card base shaped like a paw print. And I want to show you how it cuts, but I also want to show you, look, that it is several parts. So you have this large die. This is the die that would be your shadow layer if, let's say, you wanted just to put it on the front of a card, or this is the die that would be the die that makes your card base if you're doing a shaped card. You also have this die which cuts out all of the little pieces, and I'm going to show you that as well. And then you can also do dots. So you have dots that you can include. Those are optional, so that is up to you. So I did some die cutting. I just want to show you what some of these cut. So if you were to, I guess let's start with this one. This is the actual shadow die. If you were to actually just cut this out, you're going to get this piece here. So this would be your shadow die, and that's what you would build your paw print from. Okay, so that's this. So if you take this die just by itself, you're going to get these brown pieces that I cut out of this brown cardstock. So you're just going to get the pieces that you can layer on just like that. And I don't even think I have them in the right order. I don't. So the two big ones go in the middle, and then the smaller ones go on the ends. So that's what you're going to get, and there is your paw print. Now, if you were to take this die and layer in these dots, so these dot dies, and die cut it like this, you're then gonna get these fun dots, which I die cut here out of the red. So you can have dots as a pattern on your paw print, just like that. Okay, now if you, let me take that out, die cut this piece inside of the larger piece, just like this, then you're gonna get this frame. So you'll get the frame plus all of these cutouts. So if you wanted to, and again, these colors don't really match very well, but I just wanna show you. So then you can just take your frame and you can layer that on a shadow layer, and then you can plug in your pieces. So it just adds a little bit more definition. So you can see what that looks like. Okay, so you can do your frame in any color you want, but you can always just take your shadow die and die cut it out of this light green, and you'd still have the same look. The only difference is that the pieces are not the same height. So if you add this extra layer, then all of the pieces fit in perfectly, and the whole piece is even, if that makes sense. There's no height difference. So it really depends on how you want to do your paw print. So you can do this as just a die cut piece if you wanted to put it on a card front, or if you wanted to put it on a scrapbook page, you can have it like that, or you can make it as a card base. And I'm going to show you today how to make this as an A2 size folded card with the paw print being your actual card base. So I'm going to take this up a notch, and I'm going to turn this into a shaker card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of these large dies, I'm going to layer them into each other so that I can get this frame. And I'm die cutting this out on a piece of medium weight chipboard. And I die cut 3 pieces to be exact. So 3 pieces of chipboard. All of these middle pieces I don't need. I mean, if you wanted to, you can save them just to add dimension to maybe some of your cardstock layers on any card that you do, but I'm just gonna put those aside. So I have 3 paw prints and the outlines cut out of chipboard. Now, if you don't have chipboard, you can always use cardstock. Now, you have to determine how big your shaker bits are to see how many layers up you need to go. I'm using these shaker bits. These are pretty flat shaker bits, so they're not too thick. They're very thin. So I just need to make sure that I have enough layers so that when I layer this up, that my shaker bits will move around inside of the paw print. So the best way to do this is maybe just to put these layered onto a piece of cardstock with your shaker bit inside, and just take a look at it from an angle and see, just make sure, put your shaker bit up to the edge, make sure that it's not right up at the edge of the top layer, make sure you still have a little bit of room because you want to make sure that this shaker bit will move around. So if you find that the shaker bit is higher than your chipboard or your cardstock, then you're going to have to die cut more pieces. But so again, I'm using chipboard just because I didn't want to die cut extra pieces of cardstock, but you can use cardstock. You may need 6 pieces of cardstock to equal my 3 pieces of chipboard. So you really have to play around with that number. Next, with these dies still connected, I'm going to die cut a piece of this pattern paper because I want to create an outline, and it's going to be in the pattern paper to put over top of this piece. Now, if I wanted to, I can just leave the chipboard exposed and use that craft color, but I thought it would be fun to add a little bit of a pattern. So I'm going to do that with the pattern paper. So all of these inside pieces I can save for another card, so I'm going to set those aside. This is the piece that I'm going to use for my top layering piece, and now you can see how that's going to become a finished product. Isn't that cute? You can see all those cute little polka dot, the white polka dots showing through. Next, you're going to take this die by itself, and you're going to die cut some bubblegum cardstock, and that's going to give you the inside pieces for this paw print. So that's the piece, these are the pieces that you're going to use for the inside pieces. So it's going to be pink and ginger snap. I think that's really pretty colors. You will also need to die cut the shadow die or the outline die by itself to create this piece, because that's the piece that you're going to put all your layers on. Next, we need to die cut an acetate piece so that we can have to cover up the paw print so that it will contain our shaker bits. So I'm just going to take a piece of acetate, and I'm going to run the shadow layer on top of this acetate through my die cut machine. So here's my acetate piece, and that will go right over that chipboard, and then I'll have the pattern paper right over the top of that. So now we're going to start putting this together, but I do want to put a sentiment inside of here, so I'm going to stamp that first. And the stamp set that I'm using is this Hats for Critters stamp set. I'm going to be using the dog, which is the cookie dog, as well as the happy birthday. That's going to go in the center. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that out. So there's the sentiment. So now we're going to start building our layers. So I'm going to take one of my chipboard pieces and I'm going to put glue on the back. And I'm going to layer that directly on this shadow piece. And it really doesn't matter what color that shadow piece is because you're not going to end up seeing it. You're basically just covering it up, but you need somewhere to attach your layers. Okay, so then I'm going to plug in all of these pink pieces. It will be easier to actually plug these pieces in before you actually build up your wall because it's easier to place with just one layer. So make sure that these are in the right direction. So kind of just go through and just place them where they go and see if you need to flip them upside down, kind of like I did, before you actually start gluing these down. And that looks perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these. And then I'm going to add the next 2 pieces of chipboard. So next, I'm ready to add my shaker pieces. So you can actually put these shaker bits inside each one of these. And in the big center piece here, each one of these is contained in itself. So each one of these will be an individual shaker piece. So when you're adding them, the only thing I suggest is that I would try and make sure, I think I'm going to add some of these green ones to give it a little bit better color, is make sure that they're not over top of each other. So you can just come in here with your finger and just spread them out, making sure that they are not over top of each other, because if they are, then you might have an issue with having your acetate lay flat. Okay, and we'll go ahead and put some of these pink ones in. All right, now we are ready to add the acetate layer. So that acetate layer will go directly on top of here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add glue to the actual chipboard. So anywhere I see chipboard, that's where my glue is going to be adhered. And once I have the glue on there, I'm going to now just lay the acetate directly on top, and it's going to be the same exact size because it was cut with the same die. We're gonna put that on there and let that sit for a few minutes. I wanna make sure that it's at least a little bit dry before I start adding any other layers. I'm putting an acrylic block on here just to make sure that this stays down. So I've got 2 there. So I'll let that sit for a minute and then I'll finish this up. All right, so I'm gonna remove that, and next I'm gonna add the pattern paper just to cover up the acetate portion. So next I'm going to add this little dog stamped image to my paw print, and I just was trying to figure out where I'm going to place it because I don't want to cover up that sentiment. So it's going to have to extend a little bit off of the paw print, but that's okay because it should still be able to fit in an A2 size envelope, because you can see here that this portion still extends past that stamped image. So that way I'll be able to still attach it a little bit to the front here and a little bit to the top. Now what I'm going to do, because the back side will then be shown, so if you actually flip this over, you'll be able to see the back of that stamp. And because I colored it with my Copics, you can actually see a little bit of that ink showing through. So what I've done is I die cut another shadow layer out of the just white, regular white cardstock. And I'm just going to attach that stamped image to that white shadow layer. That way I will have a completely white back to this stamp. So we'll attach that, and now you can see the back looks completely clean. I am going to attach this party hat, so I am going to cover up that bow that I've already stamped out, or that I've already colored. So I'm just going to put glue here on the bottom portion of this, and I'm actually going to make sure that that bow is completely covered. And just add that there. Oh, look how cute that is. Okay, so next I'm going to add this to the paw print. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over after I have that exactly where I want it. I'm going to take a pencil and I'm just going to trace, and that will give me this line here which shows me where I'm going to be putting glue. And I just want to be certain, yes, that I can actually put glue on the hat portion, although I don't even know if it's going to stick to that card because it's a separate layer, but we'll see. So now I'm going to just line up my pencil mark, and I'm going to press down. Oh, look how cute that is. I love that. So now we're ready to put this on a card base. So I want to show you how to put this on a card base. So if you wanted to, you can just take this. If you wanted to put it on the front of a card, you can do that. Or if you wanted to use this for a scrapbook page, you can do that as well. But I'm going to show you how to make a card out of this. So I'm going to take a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and I am going to fold this. Just use my bone folder to hold that down, just to make sure that is pressed down really well. And then I'm going to take my largest die in the set. So next you need to decide if you want to open this from the side or if you want to have it open from the top. I'm thinking I'm going to go with opening from the top. So I'm going to place the top of the die so that it's just above the fold in that cardstock. And I'm going to go ahead and add some washi tape just to hold that down, and I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. And here's what that looks like when it comes out of the die cut machine. So you have a card base, but notice that these tips of the paw is actually cut off, and that's just so that the both pieces of cardstock stay connected when you open it. So now all we're going to do is we're going to attach that to the card base. Now if you wanted to, and I didn't do this, but you can see when this is going to be attached, you're actually going to see a little bit of the color that you used for your shadow layer. If that bothers you, you can put a piece of white cardstock on the back which I'm just gonna leave mine as is. But again, you could have die cut the shadow layer out of white or just take another shadow layer and attach it. But I'm just gonna leave mine as is. And I'm gonna add glue here to the top. And the reason why I'm adding it to the top of the actual card base and not here is because I don't want to put glue where there's not going to be any cardstock. So next I'm just going to line this up. And I probably could have just taken a piece of ginger snap cardstock and used that for my card base, which I probably should have done that. But that's okay. So there is my card. Look how super cute and fun that is. So it says happy, happy birthday. You have your little doggy on the front, and it's a shaker card. And who doesn't love shaker cards? Then you open it up and you can write your message. So that is it for the paw print Fold It. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And if you like this video, give me a like. And if you like videos like these, go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications so that you'll be notified every time I release a new video. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.